If you haven't noticed lately, there's been an uptick in transgender discussion and its place in society. People are embattled in discussions over the U.S. government and large corporations promoting this lifestyle and practices to children. So why is it so pervasive?
Because of yoga.
Now I'm only partially kidding, but there is somewhat of a correlation. General facts about yoga says that there's 36 million people in the U.S. regularly practicing yoga. So 10% of the U.S. population is practicing yoga. Between 2010 and 2021, yoga grew in popularity by 64%. It's over $88 billion in the yoga industry. Simultaneously, sex surgery reassignment is worth more than $623 million in 2022 and is projected to register over 11.5% between 2023 and 2032. So it's a big business. On the surface, yoga, in most people's minds, they're just stretching. But is that what yoga is really supposed to be? The word yoga means yoked or union. It's to attach or join or harness or yoke oneself. So what are people attaching and joining themselves to? Most would probably argue the stretching and positions they do are not paying homage to any deity. But that's kind of like whitewashing Saturnalia and calling it Christmas. Yoga involves a series of twists and bends, like a snake, putting your body into specific positions while one is supposed to clear their minds. Yoga comes from Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. According to Mikhail Burley, the first use of the root word yoga is in hymn 5.81.1 of the Rig Veda, a dedication to the rising sun god, where it has been interpreted as yoke or control. So what is commonly called yoga in the West is technically Hatha yoga. Ha meaning sun and the meaning moon attains the union of body and spirit through a practice of asanas, yoga postures, pranayama, yoga breathing, mudra, body gestures, mantha, energy locks and seals, and shatkarma, internal cleansing. So it's a yoking of the sun and the moon, the mind, the body, the spirit, the sun, and the moon. In Hinduism, Kundalini, the coiled snake, is a form of divine feminine energy, believed to be located at the base of the spine in the Muladhara. It is an important concept in Shaiva Tantra, where it is believed to be a force of power or power associated with the divine feminine or the formless aspect of the goddess. In Buddhism, Avalokitesvara is variably depicted, described, and portrayed as either a male or female in different cultures. To prostrate oneself is to put oneself in a particular position of obedience, and this is to signal to the deity that you are inviting them in, that you are yoked with that spirit. Are people who are doing yoga inviting these spirits into their communities? So what does yoga have to do with the current trans movement? It goes back to the Eastern wisdom and Western Gnostic religions. It started becoming mainstream by the Theosophical Society, which originated from India before being brought to the U.S. So Theo, meaning God, and Sophia, wisdom. Sophia in Greek Gnosticism is personified wisdom. Gnosticism is very similar to the teachings of the Zohar and Kabbalah from sects of Judaism that came out from Babylon that had been infiltrated back during the Hellenization period. The Theosophical Society is an organizational body of theosophy, an esoteric new religious movement. It was founded in New York City in 1875. Among its founders were a well-known feminist, Helena Blavatsky, also known as Madame Blavatsky, who claimed to have went to Tibet to learn from the masters of the ancient wisdom. She is also a Russian, which is now the territory of modern-day Ukraine, mystic, and a principal thinker of the Theosophy movement, and Henry Steele Occult, its first president. It draws upon a wide array of influences, among them older European philosophies and movements such as Neoplatonism and occultism, as well as parts of Asian religious traditions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. Esotericism has pervaded various forms of Western philosophy, mysticism, and religion, pseudoscience, art, and literature, as well as music, and continues to influence intellectual ideas and popular culture. It said of Blavatsky that Theosophy can be considered part of a broad counterculture, which included socialists, vegetarians, and feminists. A celebration in her esoteric system of the divine hermaphrodite, along with an insistence on the uselessness of the soul, made it clear that, in her opinion, no individual ought to be subjugated because of what flesh their spirit was temporarily housed in. Her public rejection of proper Victorian womanhood, traveling extensively on her own, occasionally dressing up in men's clothing, swearing and smoking profusely, reviling marriage, also helped destabilize gender categories. She's known for countering the Genesis 3 story about Eve being subordinate to Adam, claiming Satan as a symbol of liberation. She spawned folks like Anton LaVey, who is the founder of the Church of Satan, whose logo is Baphomet, who incidentally is portrayed as a symbolization of the equilibrium of opposites, half human, half animal, male and female, good and evil, essentially a hermaphrodite. There is no good, there is no evil. Blavatsky wrote the book Isis Unveiled, master key to the mysteries of ancient modern science and theology. She writes in the preface that Isis Unveiled is a plea for the recognition of the Hermetic philosophy, the ancient universal wisdom religion, as the only possible key to the absolute in science and theology. The goddess Isis, according to the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum, is the goddess of healing and magic, and was crucial to ancient Egyptian religious beliefs. She is known today by her Greek name Isis. However, the ancient Egyptians called her Aset. Her name translates to Queen of the Throne, which is reflected in her headdress, which is typically a throne. Isis is part of the Ennead of Heliopolis, a family of 9 deities descended from the creator god, Atum or Ra. Isis is just another offshoot of what the Hebrews referred to as Ishtar, which is the Mesopotamian goddess Inanna, goddess of love and war and fertility. Jeremiah mentions the people making offerings to the Queen of Heaven. In Greek mythology, Hermaphroditus, the son of Hermes, and Aphrodite, is considered the god of the hermaphrodites and intersex people. Hermaphroditus was depicted as a winged youth with both male and female features, that is, usually female thighs, breast, and a style of hair, and male genitalia. Another deity attributed to the transgender cult is Dionysus, also called Bacchus, where we get Mardi Gras from, has been dubbed a patron god of hermaphrodites and transvestites. These gods gave people something they could identify with, something to associate their perversion with. Something that was pervasive back in the Greco-Roman society and likely is still today is the practice of pederasty, which is essentially the grooming and raping of young boys. We see also that the god Pan, who is also a half-breed, is equivalent to the Hindu Pushan. Brother and sister Artemis and Apollo Artemis, being the goddess of hunt, is personified as the moon. Apollo is said to have many male lovers, and he is personified as the sun. We can see in the chart how many homo relationships there are with these gods. Hermaphrodite, being the amalgamation of Hermes and Aphrodite. Hermes is the messenger. We get terms like hermeneutics, hermetically sealed, and the practice of Hermeticism, which is an ancient occult tradition encompassing alchemy, astrology, and theosophy. He's associated with Mercury and is known to have a winged helmet. He's an Olympian deity in ancient Greek religion and mythologies. Hermes is considered the herald of the gods. He is also considered the protector of human heralds, travelers, thieves, merchants, and orators. Aphrodite is an ancient Greek goddess associated with love, just, beauty, pleasure, passion, procreation, and her syncretized Roman goddess counterpart, Venus, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. The cult of Aphrodite was largely derived from that of the Phoenician goddess Astarte, a cognate of the East Semitic goddess Ishtar, which cult was based on the Sumerian cult of Inanna. Hermaphroditus, the two-sex child of Aphrodite and Hermes, Venus, and Mercury, had long been a symbol of androgyny, or effeminacy, and was portrayed in Greco-Roman art as a female figure with male genitalias. In ancient Sumer, androgynous and intersex men were heavily involved in the cult of Inanna. Western esotericism's embrace of androgyny continued into the modern period. A 1550 anthology and alchemical thought, De Alchemica, included the influential Rosary of the Philosophers, which depicts the sacred marriage of the masculine principle, Sol, the sun, with the feminine principle, Luna, the moon, producing a divine androgyny, a representation of the alchemical hermetic beliefs in dualism, transformation, and the transcendental perfection of the union of opposites. So there seems to be a lot of sun, moon, and planet correlations to the foundation of the trans religion. These feminist matriarchal religions are nothing new. We've been staring at them for thousands of generations. Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, who is Helios, is the sun personified, often depicted as riding a chariot drawn by horses, closely associated with the sun god Ra. Helios is relational to Eos Aurora, the goddess of the dawn. Dawn is when the blending of light and darkness are mixing together. Coincidentally, Venus is considered the goddess of dawn, of the morning and evening star. In Isaiah 66:15, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire, with chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. So we see this mixing, this blending taking place. The Bible speaks against the mixing of seeds, even certain clothes, that everything should be after its kind. Why? Because it tends to lead to confusion, which is not good for humanity. It all goes back to the snake in the garden as he slithers toward young women, twisting the commandments of Elohim, saying, surely you won't die. If you eat of this tree, you will gain wisdom. Many are wrapped up in this cult of yoga and transgenderism, and people are prostrating themselves and inviting these spirits into their communities. We don't want to empty our minds so the spirits have place to reside. Rather, we want to fill our thoughts with the words of Yah. Regrettably, there are a tiny few of those who do suffer from what is called true hermaphroditism, which is essentially a genetic mutation, and it's unfortunate that people's disabilities are being used to develop a social construct within our society and allow for this perversion to run rampant. Pedos and perverts alike, all capitalizing on the movement. Those who do suffer from gender dysphoria need to have their confusion cleared up with the truth of what makes a male and a female. by using unbiased biology. We don't need to teach lies that only lead to more confusion and destruction, as if someone gets to choose what they are at birth. People need to be taught to love themselves for who they are from birth and not spend their lives pretending to be something they are not. That will bring them true freedom. We are to yoke ourselves to the Son of Yahweh and walk in His grace because His burden is light. If there's any position we should be in, it should be that of prostrating ourselves on our hands and knees, praying to Elohim for forgiveness, and we should be yoking ourselves to Him and to His words. Shalom.